hold on 1 second, and here we go. Welcome to Inside the 18. I'm Michael Magid, live from, wait for it, Saskia Weber.
I'm waiting.
Hollywood, California.
Okay,
That's
you
right.
are home.
I am at home. I am at home right now. With me, you know her as Rutgers women's soccer alum Saskia Weber.
Nice. All right. I like that one.
Yeah, that's a good one. And the reason I gave Saskia that introduction right now is because we have another Rutgers women's soccer alum, NC Courage goalkeeper Casey Murphy, making her triumphant return to Inside the 18. This time with no babies. No babies walking in the background, right? No, not yet at least. I haven't seen that yet.
No, there's a little bit of movement in my background, but that will pass soon.
There you go.
Yep, there goes. You know what it kind of reminds me of is like in those those games, the carnival games where like the ducks are going like in the background.
No, that was Omar's grandma because she was just consistent.
Yeah.
She kind of is consistent like that. And Saskia, obviously shout out to you representing your Angel City. I still love the crest. Those are awesome shirts. That everyone out there, you guys can grab that gear. And I don't want to steal the luster from NC Courage, crests as well too. That's a very, very, very classic NWSL look, as we'd like to say. One of the preeminent teams in NWSL. Casey, kind of before we kind of get into today's topic, guys, which is going to be holding position and being patient and everything. Why don't you kind of catch up on everybody? Everyone's like, wait, NC Courage. Last time she was on the show, she was with OL Reign. So lots happened in the past year for you.
Yeah, I'm back on the East Coast. Obviously, a new beginning with a new team, and just an opportunity to show, how much stronger I've become since playing in France 2 years, since being with OL Reign for 2 years, and obviously now going on my 5th year as a professional. So yeah, I'm excited about this new experience with the Courage, and everything has been going good so far.
I mean, I think that's a really the fact you just said 5 years professionally, I was like, man, where has the time gone? You've been a pro for 5 years now. Oh my gosh, that is absolutely unreal. But I think one of the really awesome things kind of about your journey, Casey, and Saskia, we've talked about this because you guys have had some personal connections, off the air as well too. Is just that you grew up, obviously in the area. You went to Rutgers, played there under the shadow of Saskia Weber's monumental image.
Well, this is what we were joking about before you got on. I said, because when I met you at Nationals, I was like, good Lord, she's so tall. And I was like, she must have been, I told Mike, I was like, she must have been like, wow, Saskia isn't very tall. I've been standing under a 3-story billboard of her next to the stadium, and here I'm like on my tippy toes saying hi to you. And I was like, and I thought I was tall. I mean, I'm 5'9", right? But
you made it work.
Absolutely. But back then, all the players were shorter. So understand, that's how long ago it was. I was tall.
Speaking of long ago, Casey, so there was an Angel City event when the crest reveal happened a few weeks ago, and Saskia and I hadn't seen each other in like a year and a half.
Oh, wow.
And so I come up and Saskia goes, "Oh, I forgot how little you were." And I was like, "Oh my God."
Well, you were like next to me and Omar. So
I can honestly say no one's ever said that to me in my life.
oh my gosh. Well, one thing I did want to bring up with you, Casey, kind of before we kind of get into it and stuff like that, is there's a lot of young goalkeepers who kind of go through that situation as they become young professionals, and they start out one place, they go to another place, and then eventually, they kind of, find a club where they feel really comfortable and stuff like that. And it seems like you've really fit in at NC Courage, kind of right away. Were there any growing pains, or did you kind of feel like, oh my gosh, this is a great environment for me?
Yeah, I went in thinking about the things I've learned from my previous clubs, and I knew I needed to quickly grasp my team style at NC Courage, and it was going to be, you know, a difference, and there was going to be some adjustments that I was going to need to make. But yeah, I just quickly needed to be like, okay, how do we take down opponents more here, and how can I improve more and more each game so that, you know, I'm helping the team be successful. One of the things I feel like I've grown over my years as a professional is understanding the concept that a stronger me equals a stronger team. So just quickly being able to grasp what it is I needed to do to fit into my team style was important.
Yeah.
No, go ahead, Saskia.
No, yeah. I mean, I switched teams in the WSA long time ago again in the WSA from Philly to New York. And I just found it was such a good, better fit for me. I'm just saying that was a very PC way to say that. I'm being nice today. But the same thing, like I was a better me. So like how that affected New York and my playing and what I had to do to bring to that team and everything kind of all came together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think that see the one thing that I thought about, you know, kind of Casey, when you kind of came into NC Courage and everything like that, is that first off, I know myself personally, like, you know, coming into an environment where like there is a certain expectation, not saying there wasn't an expectation at OL Reign, but there's an expectation of winning at NC Courage. Like that's what they do. They win and they bring you in because they feel like they can continue to win with you at the helm. And like you even said, it was a change in system of play and, you know, what they were expecting from you. Like, were you a little bit concerned about the demands of the playing style at NC Courage when you kind of came in?
Wasn't concerned. I just wanted to quickly like learn what it is they wanted exactly from their goalkeepers, and obviously bring in my own style of play and adjust, but also, you know, continue to be me. I think it was just a test for me. I was excited to show up sharper than ever with a new team. And so the focus remained on being the best goalkeeper I can be. And then obviously what I need to do to help the team be successful. What's great about NC Courage is the coaches were able to quickly, you know, teach me what it is they wanted from their goalkeepers as far as starting position, as far as playing out, building out of the back. And so I feel like because we had such a long preseason, 10 weeks, it was a great opportunity for me to, you know, take that time, learn the system, and then get preseason games in, Challenge Cup games in before regular season hit.
By the way, I mean, I want to say that, and I think Saskia and I, we had this conversation before. I love the fact that they continue to with the Challenge Cup, that it was something that they decided to continue on, not just a COVID thing, but like this is a great, I don't want to say a preseason tournament, but kind of a great way to kind of get everybody up and running and going full gear, especially after such a long preseason because of the way that things worked out last year. You know, I think that was really beneficial to all you guys. And I saw all the pictures and videos that, you know, Nathan was posting of all those sessions. So it looks like you guys got a lot of time to work on a lot of things, which I think is huge. And as like a lot of people were saying, you know, it's not about, you know, how you start out the season, it's how you finish that season. Saskia, I know that's something that you've been kind of big about too. You know, you want to peak at the right time.
Yeah. Like, you're just bringing me back to national championships.
Oh, no, I didn't want to do that.
I'm kidding. You always want to peak at the right time. And there's a lot that goes into that in every sport. You know, when you have teams that are like rolling through the beginning of the season and everything like that, and they don't lose, and then going right in before playoffs, you get a loss under your belt or something. It kind of kicks you in the butt a little bit and it wakes you up. So sometimes I think that's good. Like, you know, I think it was a good kick in the ass that Sweden handed it to the United States. You know, because now I think they'll roll through the tournament. I think, but without that wake up call, if they would have run into Sweden later, let's say, you know, what would have happened? So we'll see.
Yeah,
everybody's like.
I don't know. I mean, do we want to go there? I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. Had they started off with Australia and stuff, and Sweden wasn't in their group, and then Sweden's doing well and playing, and then they hit the U.S. at that stride, the way they were playing, let's say in the semis, you know, better now.
I mean, and I love how Casey's just like being very politically correct, and she's just like, you know what? I'm just going to no comment.
I can say anything I want.
I'm pleading
the
the
US.
yeah, because you're not involved in U.S. soccer anymore, so you don't have to worry about that.
She's still in the player pool, I think.
Please tell me she is. Please tell me there's a depth chart and Saskia's still on that depth chart.
That'd
If all
hilarious.
these things happen, we still have to call.
It's like the royal family. If all these things happen, we'll call Saskia.
That would make a great sitcom or like a movie. That would be a comedy. I think it'd be a comedy. I don't know how dramatic of a film this would be. Kind of like there was a late 80s comedy known as King Ralph with John Goodman that I don't know if anyone remembers that. That's a deep cut reference. All right, well, I'll just stop right there then, because chances are the entire audience doesn't know what I'm talking about.
Okay, move on.
Wikipedia it, guys. Great holiday fair. Casey, before we move on, I just have a quick question. What are there any facets of your game that you feel that have improved since last time we chatted?
I would just say, having specific goals that drive my focus. They drive how I show up, and those goals are, I feel like, ones that increase my team's chance of winning. And obviously, ultimately, like, my goal is to do my position the best and give my team a chance of winning and give them spirit and confidence and just keep the ball out of the back of the net simply. But it's definitely just those goals and setting specific ones that are, going to get me to where I want to get to. So, and get the team where, winning championships. And so that's basically, I think, the piece of my game that's continuing to grow is just doing everything I can to make a stronger me, a stronger team, and improve each game.
I think that was a very humble way to put that. Like, you're like, yeah, there's not really a specific facet that's taken a lot of growth. I'm just getting better every day with everything, which is a good way to put it. And I also, the fact that, your goalkeeper coach is actually on the line right now, watching this right now at the same time, because he was just like, he's like, oh, is she going to say what I'm thinking? Is she going to say what I'm thinking? And because he's like, oh, is that what the session design is going to have to be tomorrow? Okay.
Everything I say.
Well, let's speaking of being patient and figuring out what you need to work on and all of that sort of stuff. That's kind of a great segue. Actually, it was a terrible segue. I had a terrible segue for the first time ever, Saskia Weber, into today's topic.
It's because you spilled your kombucha.
It is. I spilled, but for those of you guys who did not hear the pre-show, I spilled blueberry lavender kombucha all over myself, literally right before I started everything. And my room now smells like fermented juice. Nathan Thackeray. Oh my gosh. Look at this.
I'm always watching.
Oh my god. If anybody else has any more ominous comments that they'd like to put in the comment section or questions,
I'm always watching.
that they have for Casey.
Let me tell you guys, I have the best coach at NC Curry. He's taught me so much.
I'm so glad the internet didn't exist when I played. Well, it did, but not like this.
So, all right, let's go into today's topic, guys. Today's topic is being patient and holding position. Casey, for some of the parents out there who are listening, or maybe younger goalkeepers that don't know what we're talking about, what do we mean by holding position? And remember, Nathan's listening, so.
Holding position, as we are going to talk about, I'm sure the first thing that comes to my mind is patience. When I think of patience, it's like, I think of it's an active word. Patience is what we do while we wait. So if we're in a good position, for me, on the outside, I may look calm and patient and holding my position, but inside, I'm, there's self-dialogue going on. I'm talking to myself, I'm narrating the game. So on the outside, it looks calm, I'm holding my position, but on the inside, I'm making sure that, in my head, I'm, just continuing to talk to myself, have conversations with myself, stay focused, stay present in the game. And so when I do need to make an action, I'm relaxed, I'm composed, but on the inside, I was anticipating, I was getting ready for that moment.
Yeah.
I think that was so well said right there. I love the fact that you brought up just the fact of like, I might look patient on the outside, but on the inside, there's all of this internal, and I'm not even saying anxiety, but I'm saying more of internal, just kind of, processing taking place. And Saskia, you've spoken highly about this, is that, even if you're not involved in the action, you're still constantly involved in the game and processing and taking in the scenario and the developments and all of that.
Yeah, I mean, if you're in good position and you're in your holding position, you're not set there. You're assessing what's going on and happening in front of you internally, and how to, whether it's move and when to move into the next position. You're forcing the other team, if they're coming at you, to kind of make decisions based on your position. It's a manipulation. But again, I think you said it great. You're having an internal dialogue with yourself. You're assessing what's going on in front of you, breaking it down, still organizing, but you're calm.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times, and I'm just going to throw this out right now because I'm just very proud of the fact that I played a competitive game this weekend, and I hadn't done that in a year and a half. So I have to talk about this. And people say, they're like, "Oh, you seemed really composed," but I wish there was film of this, because in my head I was like, "Oh, I was panicking that entire time." You didn't see all that anxiety going on. You didn't see.
You were frozen in place.
Yeah, I was just frozen in place. Like, you might have thought I was composed, but it was, in reality, I was just petrified of fear, because the ball was coming at me so fast, and I wasn't used to it. Casey, we've talking so much about the mental aspect of this game, on this podcast and everything like that, and bringing up that negativity and having those negative thoughts. And Dan Abrahams always talks about squashing those negative thoughts, squashing those ants, as he likes to call them. Is this something that you feel creates a patient goalkeeper, is one that's willing to, when they're in that moment, they start feeling the anxiety, they just start putting away those negative thoughts and just hyper focusing on the moment at hand?
Yeah, I think that inner dialogue is so important, and obviously not every thought you have is going to be super positive, but it's how quickly can you catch yourself, and how quickly can you get back to your standard of what you want that mindset to be like for the game. I may get a feeling like, oh, we're under a lot of pressure right now, teams, looking tired, but quickly I have to be like, okay, no, like, don't waste time on that thought. What can I do to help serve the team right now, to motivate, to encourage players on, to organize better, to make sure that, I'm setting up my teammates for success. So I think it's okay to have thoughts that aren't always positive, but how quickly can you recognize that that's not what you need to be thinking about right now, and what do you need to be focusing on at that moment to help the team, continue on in the game. So yeah, it's that inner dialogue, that self-dialogue, I think is super important to have, especially at, a high level when you're on a big stage and there's a lot happening. Just being able to stay in the moment, and then also just not get distracted by everything else going on.
I love the fact that you just said that right there. And Saskia, I know that we've had this conversation before about like what is fantasy and what is reality. And what I mean by that is like, what am I actually imagining is actually going on, and what is actually really happening right now? And I think a lot of the times when I'm having negative thoughts, and this is becoming a little bit of a psych a podcast, and because Saskia was a psych major at Rutgers, so it fits in perfectly right there. But it is that a lot of those negative thoughts sometimes are things that are not actually happening in the moment right there, but I'm actually manifesting them, and how important it is to really focus on what's really happening.
Well, I think that if you find yourself we totally went off the beaten track.
I know.
It's okay.
I think it's important though. Yeah.
Well, Casey had such a great answer to holding position. Like, where do you go from there? No, I think that, the best way, if we're going to go on that track, to get yourself, if you're getting negative thoughts, and those are happening, and you find yourself frozen in place, is kind of to just take a step back, do the basics and communication, just organize, just kind of go into those checklists, and those thoughts will disappear in a second. Like, okay, is my outside back tucked in? All right, do we have pressure on the ball? And so on and so forth. And then if you go to those things, you won't have time, in a sense, to focus on, the team's tired, or, this and that and the other, or something that might have happened that might be weighing on you. So I think that's kind of the best way I've always done, is like, that's how you shake it off. You just kind of put your head right back into the game.
Yeah. And I think this actually kind of get us back on track right here, because I think, one of those things in regards to negative thoughts and everything, Casey, I don't know how you feel about it, but do you feel that's one of those reasons why a lot of young goalkeepers have difficulty being patient and holding position, is because they're having these negative thoughts and second guessing their positioning and all that?
Way to bring it back, Mike.
You see on a pedal.
Way to bring it back, Mike. See, that was a good question.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
My
do what I
thought,
can.
My first thought on that is how you see the field and your vision. And I think if you see the field better, you can communicate with your defense better, and trusting them more that they're going to do their job because of your communication allows you to hold a better position. So like here, I have awesome teammates, and they allow me to be higher on the field, and I understand how we build out. So I trust my teammates, therefore I can hold a higher position, which is going to help in our attack. And so it just goes back to that vision, seeing the field, understanding your team, and then that communication piece of it, so I can hold my position better, so I can be more, of an 11th person on the field rather than, sitting back on my line in the goal. But that comes from seeing more in that vision.
Yeah. I think you find with young goalkeepers them trying to prove themselves, which is why they get pulled, why they're positioning, and why they don't hold their position. They're not thinking, especially if you do have a negative thought. Let's say something wrong happened before. Well, now you find with a lot of young goalkeepers that they're going to try to make up for it by pushing the envelope and doing something that you're just following one mistake by the next mistake, instead of kind of reorganizing yourself. Okay, what did I do in that? I didn't have good position. I didn't hold, or, I'm not going to try to make up for it by coming for a through ball that I shouldn't come for, and breaking, a good holding position and waiting. And so I think calming yourself, and the best ways to do that is stick to the basics, good positioning, hold it, watch what they're doing, then make your decisions. Don't go off the, your initial thoughts. There's got to be a slight pause there, millisecond, slight pause.
I think another big mistake you see with younger goalkeepers as well is they are ball watching, so they're not necessarily they're only focused on the ball, so they may be slightly out of position, it's too high, too low, not connected with the team, because they're not looking all around the field. They're just looking at where the ball is at that moment.
Absolutely.
And you just brought up just a really good point right there, because I was actually just thinking about this right now, is that how many young goalkeepers, and whichever one of you guys wants to take this right here, but how many young goalkeepers don't trust their teammates to support them and cover the angles and go like, hey, you know what? And if you feel that you have to cover the entire goal and that they're not going to be able to cover your weak side and everything like that, well, you're putting yourself in a very disadvantageous situation, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I think that goes around, that goes down to coaching. Like, why does your goalkeeper have to feel that way? Like, what's going on with the defense? There's probably a reason, that the defense isn't getting the runners, or forcing you, when you're in sync with your team, like he said, it allows you to have the proper positioning. It allows you to do your job best. When it allows her to play off the line the way she's supposed to play off, not holding her line, a higher line if that's the case, whether it's an angle coming across the goal, it allows you to play a certain angle, not worrying about the far post, because maybe your outside back has that angle covered, and so you can hold your position and make a better decision instead of worrying about too much space to cover. So that comes down to a whole team dynamic. Yeah.
By the way, Casey, feel free to step in anytime you want. Otherwise, Saskia and I will probably just keep talking. So if you got anything to add.
I I was gonna say, I think it's important to like feel like you're ready to move and feel free. And like, I'll ask myself like questions like, how loose do I feel right now? Do I feel like, I can get off my line quickly? But also how I've evolved in thinking of moving and thinking more optimally for 90 plus minutes in a match and not wasting energy necessarily for no reason. So yeah, I think it comes down to like feeling free and feeling like you can move, but once you get to that good position, to be patient and stay there, so you're not overexerting, over revving, because that's something I feel like I used to do as well. I would get caught up in all these emotions and like over rev, and then 75th minute, I'm like, why do I feel like my legs are super heavy and I feel dead? It's just learning that you want to feel like you can move the whole 90 plus minutes, and just using your energy to the optimally and not wasting it as well.
Yeah, and by the way, we're going to be showing a few clips of some recent actions of you and showcasing. I mean, I'm dead honest. Like, one of the reasons why we thought of this topic with you is because you are really good at this, and for you to say, that you used to, move too much or question your positioning and all that sort of stuff, I mean, really shows the maturation in your game, because I would never notice that based on what I'm seeing today with you. I mean, it's really, really fantastic. But you brought up the movement aspect, and one thing that you do is you do at times have, especially in a point blank situation, have a little bit of a pulse going on. Can you explain a little bit about the difference between pulsing and jumping and literally moving your body?
I would say that, like, for me, I've always at least tried to keep one foot in the ground at a time. So I want to feel like I can, pop up or get low, and feel loose and feel like, I'll be able to react quickly. But what keeps me like feeling like that is, obviously that inner dialogue, okay, I'm reading the play, but also on the outside as well, staying just like relaxed, not like tense. And that little bit of movement with the feet helps me do that in those close reaction save situations, especially.
Yeah. And I think you just brought up the thing that you just said, where you're like, that little bit of movement helps me. And Saskia, we've talked about this. Like, hey, if it works for you, great. Mm-hmm. If it doesn't work for you, then you don't have to do what she's doing or what she's doing. You got to do what works for you in that scenario.
No, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to kind of go on kind of into this right now. Is like, I think one of the biggest issues, and I don't know, Casey, if you notice this as well too, and you're not around the youth game as much as we are, but I think a lot of young goalkeepers, they second guess their position, and they're really concerned that if they get there too early, they don't know what to do. They're like, well, I must be wrong because I'm not doing anything, as opposed to just trusting that, like, I've got my angle covered. Like, sometimes there's nothing to do. You have the angle covered. If anything, if you step forward, you're now making it easier for the player.
Yeah. I just think when I do some individual private coaching, I tell the kids all the time, there's no success without mistakes. So you're going to have to figure that out for yourself. And I think the hardest part is doing the work to get in that best position. And then it's having that patience once you get there to stay there, and that trust in yourself that, I put myself, I got here, I worked hard to get here, and now, I just need to stay composed and set and ready for the shot. So I think it's something that as you grow and you see more shots and you're in more different situations, you start to learn what and where you're most successful in making saves. And obviously no shot is going to be exactly the same, but you start to get more of a feel of the goal and where, you're able to make the most saves from that position. I think it just takes time for the youth goalkeepers, especially that I've been working with, to realize that.
See, I didn't know you were working with youth goalkeepers on this, so now we can go a whole other direction now. So remember, Nathan's always watching. So we've got some session designs, Casey, if you got to throw them up there, of what you've been working on. I think you brought up a really great point, and this is a conversation that Saskia has consistently. And it's very difficult for young goalkeepers because there's outside stimuli telling them to do things. So it makes them start second guessing themselves. It's very difficult for a young goalkeeper to be patient when people are telling them to come out when they already have their angle covered.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating. Right, Sask?
Yeah, I also think that, I think one of the things with young goalkeepers is they're late getting into the position. And so the game's always changing. So like if you're coming across and you know where your position in that moment should be, and you're late getting there, they still try to get there. But now that the dynamics of what's going on in front of them has changed, so they can't, you got them still running into one space when they should have stopped, readjusted, because now the whole situation has changed because they were late getting there. And I think I find that a lot with young goalkeepers. It's just like, age old, it's better to be set and out of position than moving, still trying to get into an old position. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, it's like, oh, I should have come for the ball. Let me come. Well, now that's over. You know what I mean? So that's, I find, more than for young goalkeepers getting there too early.
Oh my gosh.
I would love if my young goalkeepers got there too early. Like, hey, great position, be patient. That'd be easy. It's like, hey, why are you still trying to get over there? The ball's not there anymore.
But I think what happens, and I know, Casey, this obviously working with young goalkeepers, is that they start backpedaling on their decision and they go, oh wait, I did this wrong. I was supposed to have done this. But they're doing this in the middle of the scenario. They're doing this in the middle of the game. Like, that's not the time to do your coaching.
No, it's definitely not the time. And that's something that I learned as well. Like, in the moment, especially when you got to the pros and now they're replaying the goal against you, 5 times right in front of you. Like, it's not the time to really watch it and analyze. There'll be time for that later. But you have to, again, get back to your standard, refocus, and there's still, however many minutes of game to play. So I think in practice you can be a little bit more like quick reflection, quick adjustment, try this, test this out, because that's the time to do it in practice. But in the game, you got to move on, and it happened, and there's a time and place after the game to learn from it.
I love that you said they're replaying the goal 5 times in front of you on a giant screen. You're like, how am I supposed to let this go?
Yeah.
So, Saskia, do you have any tips for young pros to handle that? How did you handle that?
I don't know. Go have a drink or something. Don't look up. Obviously, like, walk back the ball. Make sure they walk it back slowly. Let the replays go. Don't look.
It's very hard not to look, but yeah. I agree.
Man, it's a good thing every time I screw up on the podcast, there's not a giant, like 750 feet Jumbotron screen, like right outside my window, just replaying that moment over and over again. So that's gotta definitely be a little bit stressful. I want to talk about this kind of before we kind of bring up some of these clips, Casey, is that, your qualities, obviously, you have certain attributes that other goalkeepers don't have. Other goalkeepers have certain attributes that you might not have. And how much of that does come into play and how patient you can be and how, what position you take, whether you're high or whether you create a little more depth, all that sort of a thing.
Yeah, you gotta, use your size to your advantage, whatever, size you are. I think, for me, I'm a taller goalkeeper, so, I think my presence is already there with being 6'1". But obviously I want to have that presence. I want to put the pressure on the forward, but I also know, like, I don't need to be, flying off my line. I if I'm holding a good position, a little bit, a few steps back, then, a goalkeeper that's, shorter than me, they have to, be higher off their line. That just allows me a little bit more time to react to the ball. And it's all about just kind of knowing yourself and knowing what works best for you. Everyone's going to be different. And for me, what's helped me, grow as a goalkeeper is just always naturally staying curious about situations and how I can be successful in that situation. So for me, how I, position myself versus how Saskia would have positioned herself or its positioning self, because she's still in the player pool of the women's national team.
I love it. Not really, but it's good.
It may be a little bit different, but it's all based on the goalkeeper.
But it is how you hold yourself. And, you know, I know some goalkeepers that are like 6'1", and you wouldn't know it. You would think they were like 5'8". Nothing wrong with 5'8" goalkeepers. You think they were 5'8" because of the way they hold themselves and the way they like kind of shrink in their positioning. And they don't have that presence when you have goalkeepers that are like 5'9" and you think they're 3 stories tall.
Yeah,
Just
that's
saying.
true.
Just
Yep.
saying.
No, and that's not.
Somebody got that joke. That's okay.
I got
Okay, thanks.
Oh, wait! Oh my God! I just got that joke.
Kombucha. Come on, kombucha.
Hilarious.
Thanks.
Is it really 3 stories tall?
No, it's just no. I don't know. It's just on the side of the stadium. I have like an afro. It's
Still remember the first time I talked to Casey.
have bad technique. I'm like looking up the field and catching the ball. It's hilarious.
Yeah, I think if you can think faster and limit the forward's options by putting yourself in a good position, that position may look different from goalkeeper to goalkeeper. But for me, like obviously, I don't want to react to the game. I want to respond to the game. So if you know what I'm saying here.
No, absolutely. And you want that forward by good positioning and holding your position. You want that forward to see you. You want that forward to change what they had in mind, because now they're looking up and they're like, oh, there's Casey, you know, good position, strong and everything. Or what are they going to see? Nothing in the goal. They're going to see right past you. It's exactly what Michelle Akers said. You know, when you come out and you have good position and you would, like, in a sense, stand me up and hold your position, it forced me to change my mentality. Like, all right, I'm not just going to run by her. I'm not just going to be able to shoot this ball like off one touch or anything. And that quick stutter, even for Michelle Akers, would lead to her not scoring. So, you know, that is what good positioning and holding your position does.
Yeah. Well, so speaking of that,
hold
on. So I want to play this right now here. Okay. So I want to go back to the beginning right here. So basically, Casey, speaking of holding position, I think this is phenomenal. This is against KC. I think basically what happens right here. Should we play the clip first, Susk, and then kind of break it down? Should just play it?
Yeah, because I already love that you held your position. So go ahead.
Okay.
Go.
Okay. So 85th minute, ball falls to Haley Mace towards the sideline, runs down the channel, immediate pressure, in recovery, covering her inside. Casey holds, and it's just a slight. Did you get a touch on that, or did you just basically force her wide with your position?
Well, she's not going to tell anybody she got a touch on it. That's one of my favorite.
They called it a corner, and yes, it was a corner. I got a little bit of a touch on.
Good. And don't ever tell anybody if they ask.
Yeah. Oh, no. It's not worth the save.
So walk us through this one, Casey, right here.
Yep. So, good.
Do you see it?
So Haley Mace is, coming out wide. I get into an early position. I remember in that moment exactly just, honestly, just like not thinking and just taking a quick breath and making sure that my hands didn't sink too low. Something I've been working on with NC Courage with Nathan is just not making sure that my hands are too low, especially because Haley is a good, 7-8 yards away from me right now. Not dropping too low. So again, that presence of, making sure she can see me. Hands are a little bit wider and just holding, and then again, responding to the shot.
I love this.
I love this, and this is why. If you back up a little bit, this is where a lot of goalkeepers will make mistakes, right? One, not trusting your defender to get back. If you hold your position, if you hold that, you're giving that defender a little bit more time to recover, right? A lot of goalkeepers a lot of young goalkeepers. I love that I point like we're in an auditorium and you can see me pointing at my screen, but it helps me. So a lot of young goalkeepers would come.
Yep.
Right? Why?
Absolutely.
Okay. So if you come, that's what she wants. She knows she's getting bear down on So you holding, now it's exactly what Michelle was talking about. Now you're, oh God, what am I going to do? You're also giving your defender a chance to recover. Now that defender actually, when she slides, is cutting off an angle for you. So it makes your angle a lot smaller and a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
And by no means, this is a great save. I'm not taking it away, but it's a great save because of everything you did. You held your position. You gave your defense more time to recover. You made the attacker, force the attacker to make a shot that she probably might not have wanted to. She probably was hoping that you'd just rush and she could slide it in. So well done.
I mean, I'll be honest with you, Casey. Like I think Haley right there, right about here, expected you to come out.
Me too.
Yeah, because of her touch, her big touch.
And she was thrown off.
Right.
And because of that, you had her.
And every forward takes that big touch to bait you. Absolutely. And sometimes it's too far, and sometimes you are. I used to be like, come on, take the touch, because I loved coming off my, but I would wait for the touch. But I think you held. It was great. Well done. Good example, Mike.
Oh,
really recent example too. Last game, very good.
Well, I got to do what got to do. I mean, honestly, I'll be honest, Casey. I even think just a few years ago you would have probably taken another step on that, and probably tried to go too aggressive on that. Still probably would have made the save, because you're so awesome. But
No, I agree. I think that's an area of my game that I've been trying to focus on and think about is, when to take a little step, when to adjust my position, when to hold my position, and especially on the angle in the run of play when there are defenders, and it's not just a shooting drill in practice, reading into all of those, and as we talked about earlier, that vision and reading the game and anticipating what's going to happen, that self, talk in your head prior to the shot allows me to feel like, okay, I'm in the position I need to be in now. Just hold, wait, and then make the save. And
that is just the next level of goalkeeping. That's why you're in the national team pool above me. It's the next level, because I think even in the college game you see so many young players that just don't understand that. They're like I've done it in practice. I won't say names. I've done it in practice where I've let it go, and our forwards are just baiting, and I'm like, at what point after 4 goals are you going to realize that they're taking the long touch to pull you out of position, and you're under the assumption that they're just running hell bent for the goal and don't have a plan. You've got to give these forwards more credit. That's why they are who they are. And so they're thinking, they're processing it too. They're not just like bearing down, whatever happens, they're like, come on, Casey. And when
I was going to say, now that I think about it, one of the things I feel like that's helped is, as when I coach, I'm coaching, and if we're doing 1v1s in my session, like I am the forward in that moment. So just when I'm doing private sessions, seeing the play happen from the forward's perspective, and is helpful now that I think back on it, because it allows me to see, how it's easier to beat a goalkeeper, what would I do to score, and different situations where you don't always catch when you're just the goalkeeper and seeing the field from a goalkeeper's perspective always.
Yeah,
you just brought up something that I just think is awesome right there, Casey, and I wasn't even thinking about that, but I can't tell you that when I was playing and I also started coaching at the same time, I started recognizing when I was coaching all these little triggers that I wasn't seeing as a goalkeeper, because now I was seeing it from a different perspective, and it allowed me to be more patient when I started recognizing those triggers in my own game.
I think across the board, it makes me think of just like other examples, not this, because I know we have some more, but like even talking to your goalkeepers about runs in the box, like on a corner kick or something, like that near post run is or the person in front of you running, they're trying to pull you out of position, even if it's one step. So if somebody's manned up on you and they're running forward and they get you to take a step, or if the person coming through your peripheral drags you out of your position by a step. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to move you out of position. And you have to, at this level, be cognizant of that. Hold your position.
I want to play this clip right now because this is a really interesting play that happened right here. And let's see if I can play this. Let's see if this is the right one right here. Nope, that's not what I wanted. I want this. Good save, though. I'm just showing highlights of Casey. She's like, I'm good with that. I'm totally cool with that. Okay, so this is kind of a weird play in the 36th minute right here. Basically, you guys are going to kind of see, but basically what happens here is possession's lost near the top of the 18. The ball kind of lifts high in the air, and ball drops to Taylor Korniak. You've kind of already recognized that your team has lost possession, so now you start dropping to create depth for yourself. And then you're patient with a slight lateral shift and then a great reaction save right here. Boom. See, a lot of goalkeepers would just be running at that ball. But because it's a weird play, in my opinion. Like this is one that's difficult to, to train for in
Let it play for a second, Mike.
Okay.
Look like a handball.
Thoughts, Case?
Yeah, so it's definitely one, like you said, that how do you replicate something like that in training? It's, a missed clearance, and then our other center back kicks it against their forward, who's now 1v1 with me. So a lot is happening, and a lot is happening super quick. And when I'm in a situation like this, usually I'm just focused on like making sure I'm ready if a shot's going to go off at any moment. So again, not moving, but also can I get a little bit more space between, obviously dropping off there, because you have to think about, okay, can she chip the ball's bounced in the air? Can she lift it over inside foot, chip me? So there's a lot of different little things happening, but right in that moment, I'm thinking, okay, get ready, get set, and then react from that. And then
see, I love the fact that you just did that lateral shift rather than approaching at an angle, because then you just open up that post for her and she can just slot you. This, you stand
I also like that you didn't retreat too much. I like that you can see that you're like, okay, where's the ball going to go? What's going to happen? You're slowly retreating, but then at every chance that she has to do something, you're set. You're like, okay, what? So now the ball hits here, I can do something. Now the ball hits here. Instead of like, oh, I got to get back. Or like Mike said, that here right now, some people might still retreat and then try to come forward. But then if you play it, Mike, then recognizing that this is a lateral touch. So no, you can't come running at her. Right. So getting a little more, you take one last pre-stretch and you're in good position to make the save. I just like the patience behind this. I think Mike would have been frozen right there and probably never
I would have
moved.
I probably would have never moved. And then after this touch
like,
right here,
no!
that touch right there, I'd be running right at that player. I'd be running right at Taylor right there. And she'd be like, "Oh, great, wide open net. This is awesome. This is what I want."
We got to teach you to think like a strategist here. And
there you go.
Stay ready.
Even with that point blank save, though, your shape right there allowed for the recovery really well right there. You didn't bat the ball right back at them. So I think that's very high level goalkeeping. And I think.
I also think this is Taylor looking up, saying, "Oh, there's Casey." You know what I mean? Like, I was hoping she'd just be coming hell bent and like, or some stupid K save from 7 yards away, which is totally dumb. Like, because if you'd done that, imagine if you'd done that one, my favorite, like the 8-yard K save, that you would have scored. She would have scored. It's my favorite.
Yeah, that was a battle of the 6-footers right there.
Well, you won.
You did, and like I think I think kind of what the theme has been so far today from everyone here right now talking is that the strikers are expecting you to make movement, and if you are patient and you allow their touches to determine your movement rather than your movement determines their touches type of a thing, you're in a better position. Yeah. If that made any sense. I don't know if it did. It did in my head.
No, it definitely makes sense. It's kind of almost like you're in a dance, basically, with them.
It is.
But you want to be the one that's in control because you're controlling your movement. You know where you need to be. And then we talked about baiting them. Like, can you be the one baiting them versus them baiting you?
Yeah, and remember, and I always, and it's remember, they've got the pressure on them. Like, you know, they've got the one coming out. They've got the defenders coming on them. So they have to make their decision a lot faster in a sense than you have to make yours. If you're going to do that dance, you remember that. Like, it's like, oh, okay. All right. So now I made her kind of second guess, take a little quick second, and now she feels the pressure behind her.
Yeah.
Well done.
And I think, you know, one thing I want to bring up with this, Casey, is that, you know, we talk about getting caught moving. You know, Susky always brings up, don't follow one mistake with another mistake. Well, if you're caught moving and then you just stop, that's not great either. That's not being patient. That's getting caught out of position and not, because if you're moving, you got to follow through. You got no choice.
Well, not necessarily. I think that if it depends, if you're doing breakaways and stuff, and if you bite on a touch, depending on the distance, depending on stuff, you could still make a better decision. Like, don't just keep coming hell bent and go down for the ball if that was the wrong decision. If you're still in transition, why can't you slow up and stand the person up? You know, instead of, I mean, it's very quick, but you can still try to make a better decision instead of what we see a lot of young goalkeepers do is, well, I made the decision to come here, so I'm just going to keep going.
But I think a lot of coaches just tell them, come out, keep coming, come out, run at them.
Well, I think it's that thing, like, if you come for the ball, you have to get a piece of the ball, you know. But I mean, yeah, you do. But if you came for the ball and it was the wrong decision, can you make up a better decision in your transition? Like, while you're moving, oh God, they actually baited. Like, can you maybe stop yourself? Maybe stand them up from a closer position. It's not easy, but I'm just saying we see so many kids just go, you know, or just stay and then say, I should have gone, and then go. And then it's just a debacle.
Yeah, definitely. When you get caught in hesitation, that is the worst thing that can happen. So, yeah.
It happens to me on crosses a lot. I get caught in hesitation, and it's so embarrassing too. It's like, at least for me, like, guys, I'm just playing that game.
Yeah, that we know you're a better goalkeeper than you're acting. Stop it.
Oh, please. You know what? Look, it's fun, but it's funnier if I'm not good. So
it's true.
Look, if I'm, you know, at 5'8" and a quarter, if I was as bad as I talk about myself being, it'd be really weird for me to be here right now. Anyway, see, I don't have to say anything self-deprecating all the time. Let's play this final clip right here before we kind of wrap up this episode here, because I think we've been bringing up a lot of good stuff. And honestly, this is one of those plays that's kind of terrifying to me, and I think a lot of it is just the fact it's just like, here's what happens right here. Okay. Right here. Okay. So this is in the 51st minute against Orlando. I think it's that same game, right, Case? This is the same game. Yep. Yeah. And Marta clips a ball over the top. You kind of recognize that you can't get there in time. So you just kind of drop to your near post. And I'm not even going to try to pronounce Gunny's last name properly. I think it's it's Gunny. It's the Icelandic international Gunny, who receives this ball over the top. So see, here's great. This is a great example of what Saskia was talking about.
Thanks.
See how that works? So basically, we'll play it all the way through so everybody can kind of see the play as it develops, and then we'll break it down. Ball over the top.
See, you start.
Can't get it. Yep. Great save.
That's exactly what I'm saying. So many young players would say, okay, I started to come, I have to go. But it's that understanding that now, if that ball took a different skip, if that ball bounced, then absolutely keep going. But you gave yourself the option to wait. Oh, no. And you even had the time to back up and get into a better position. Like, even if you would have stayed where you were, I think it would have still been in a good position. But I'm sure I'm going to get yelled at for that. But
yeah, it's one of those scenarios you don't see often. ball clipped in from that side. So there's going to be little movements like as you're reading the play, which I think are fine. But as long as you end up in the right position, which here I can get back and then get balanced again for this little ball in towards my feet or shot in towards my feet, then you're able to adapt and then make the save eventually. But again, if you continue on and you're moving and you're not set, then you're leaving the goal open. It allows them to pick their head up, maybe cross it.
Yeah,
exactly. It's just.
I think this is. But I think this is a prime example that a lot of young goalkeepers need to see, you know, and Saskia, I don't know if you want to add on to this, is just simple fact that, like, you know, it's okay to retreat. Like, I think a lot of young goalkeepers think that it's bad to retreat, you know, but like by you creating depth, you cut off the angle there because you recognized you were too high. Oh, I've got time to drop. I'm going to drop. And then I'll let, because I've got the other area covered. Thoughts?
I'm watching it again. Sorry.
Okay. No, I'll play it in real time.
I was watching it. Yeah, but I think also by thank God, I just hear little kids in my head going, "Keeper!" and like coming for the ball, you know. But I think there also the realization is that I don't know the number there because it's a little blurry. And I can't point at my screen because you can't see it. But you also gave your defender time to go pressure the ball, you know, and you realize she's coming into that space that you were just about to go into, and where the ball's going to end up. And here comes your defender across. So here, let me get back into a better position and hold. And like, you know, in your peripheral, there she goes. You know.
Oh my God, that is world-class scanning right there, Saskia. That is awesome. I didn't even see that until now. And now I'm like, wow, that's next level.
That's why you pay me the big bucks.
I feel like you guys can just start getting me on the show weekly. This has been great for my content.
I mean, we can hit up Nathan and find find some scenarios that didn't work out too.
He would be glad to share. Actually, this is the one flashing through my head right now.
She's like, "Can we go practice right now?" Now good stuff, Case.
Oh my, no, I definitely. Let's talk a little bit about, as we're starting to kind of wrap up, the difference between anticipation and reaction depending on the area. I think that for me personally, when it comes to being patient, you know, and allowing the reaction to take place, it doesn't mean that mental anticipation isn't still taking place.
Yeah. So obviously, like on the game, I'm front foot, I'm ready. So I feel like I'm in a position to anticipate anything that's going to come through. But there's also situations where you're not going to be able to come. You're just going to have to hold your position and then react to it. So it's just knowing, you know, the game, watching the game, reading the play develop, narrating the game in your head, what's about to happen. And then obviously for me, like the way I learn where to be on the field based on where the ball is on the field is continue to watch it. So any live games that I can get to, I try and, you know, be able to see both sides of the goalkeeper. Sometimes with these highlight reels, you don't see what's happening when the ball's on the other side of the field. So that's why I feel like almost all of that hard work a lot of times is not the stuff's not on the highlight reels for goalkeepers. So it's just, you know, for me, watching the game live, seeing, you know, learning where I need to be when the ball is all different spots on the field, not just where I'm going to be reacting for a save.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you brought up a really good point there, Casey, and I want a lot of young goalkeepers out there. There are programs or software programs out there. We use them to find highlights and clips and all that sort of stuff that actually break down scenarios in a way that's going to be beneficial if you're a coach, if you're a player. I don't want to plug any specific ones on here. There's one that starts with a W and one with an S at the end. But again, I'm not going to plug anything right here unless they want to give us a promo code or something like that. But there are ones out there, and it's extremely beneficial because the highlights you get from the telecasts are not, as a player and a coach, they're not the ones that you need. You need to get the actual footage because all that stuff that you're saying right there, that's what the young goalkeepers, and that's why I always tell young goalkeepers, sit behind Casey. when you go to the match, sit behind Casey and watch from that standpoint, because that's who you're going to be in the match, and it's going to give you a better feel for what's actually happening. So, I don't know. That's just my little rant.
Right on.
Great.
All right. So we'll start wrapping up right here. Casey, honestly, this has been a lot of fun. You are having a tremendous. I mean, obviously, just the growth again that you're having year after year after year, from when you came to France to going to OL to now NC Courage, and we just seeing it now. And there's no fault. There's literally no. It's not a coincidence or an accident that you've kind of put yourself into this conversation with the women's national team pool. But because you're putting the work in, and for anyone out there kind of who wants to kind of keep following your journey, like, where's the best place kind of for people to connect with you on social media? Where are you most active?
I would say I'm most active on Instagram, on Twitter. Obviously, social media is great. There's a time and a place for it in my day, but I'm not always on there. But if you want to reach me, it would be definitely probably Instagram or Twitter.
Awesome. And guys, obviously, if you want to reach out to Saskia to find out what number she is in the depth chart right now with the women's national team program,
bring your calculator.
Oh my God. Well, you know how they always have those top 100 goalkeepers types of lists or whatever. Like, I wanted to see if there's if they have that depth chart, and if someone's actually broken it down bit by bit, what scenario has to take place in order for Saskia. Should we start a hashtag, let Saskia play or something like that?
No, oh my God, absolutely not.
Yeah, comment below if you think we should do that.
No.
Oh my gosh. Obviously, guys, you can reach Saskia at Saskia_Weber on all social media platforms. If you have a guest suggestion or a topic suggestion, contact at insidethe18media.com or at Goalkeeper Podcast on all social media platforms. If you want to check out my touring schedule, michaelmagidcomedy.com or at Michael Magid on all social media platforms. Shows coming out in the Midwest in September. Shout out to Stan Anderson. We're putting some stuff out together in Wisconsin, courtesy of the Venmo Challenge Racine. So shout out to Camp Shoutouts one and only Stan Anderson for helping me out on that end too. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful guy. That's all the time on Inside the 18, guys, and we are out. Later. Wait, hold on. There's a clip. There's something I have to play right here because it just came through, and it just came through in the comments section here, and so we have to show this. I'm sorry. We got to show this before we end the show. Right here. Oh my God.
I love it.
It's not like I'm talking about myself here. Like, oh, I'm the best goalkeeper in the world.
Oh my gosh, you're like, damn it, I'm never going on this show again.
Oh my God. All right, see you all later on the stream, guys.
Bye.
Hold on.